Namaskaram Ashokji and Namaskaram everyone. Masters who are directly with us or maybe later through recording, those who connect. Group meditation, group session always adds energy, and your questions add a lot of value to the session. So masters, full moon is coming up pretty much here, so it's even more energy when you have such big events. So we'll continue with our discussion on epigenetics, and we are going through epigenetics, which is something applicable to everyone. We say, Aham Brahmasmi. You must have heard about it. Pretty much we know, yes, we all are part of universe. The question comes, what do we do next? How do we make sure that understanding can lead to application? That means if you understand the concept that yes, this is what Aham Brahmasmi means, but the question is how to get to the point where you can believe that yes, you are part of the universe. You have the superpower. You can become anything you want. You can be whatever you want. So where will we get that power from? Or wisdom? So epigenetics, what we will review from books from two different masters, Bruce Lipton, who really kick-started this discussion with respect to spirituality. If we can understand what truly Aham Brahmasmi means, if we can understand how epigenetics leads in that direction, that yes, we can discover that power within, then you will not be looking to a person as a guru or as your savior that, okay, bring me out of this. You will discover the power within. Yes, we share knowledge, wisdom, and that you must receive and also share. But after having that wisdom or information, what next is the big question. How do you make use of that information? So epigenetics helps us in understanding what it means truly when we say Aham Brahmasmi, and also it will help in getting us to the next level. So we'll continue this topic. Today is the second session on this, and I will certainly try my best not to make it too technical, though to some extent we have to go into it. If you really need to understand that, why should you believe in epigenetics and how does it truly work? Because if you understand, you have a trust and faith, and once you have that, you can turn on your power of epigenetics or power of Aham Brahmasmi within you. So just to recap, if some any master joining this week and you have missed previous week's session, so though this term epigenetic came into existence long time ago, in 1942 it was used, but it was academic only. The true application, especially with respect to spirituality, came, you can say, between 1987, 1992, when Bruce Lipton, he worked in this field. And he kind of figured it out, and then he shared this information with the world that it is not the cell, it is not the genes, it is the environment that is making the difference. It is the environment which is turning the genes on and off, if you may call it that way. And then right after that, there was a big boost in 2000, early 2000s. So, and you can see the graph how right after, this decade of 2000, the number of technical papers research in this field really exploded. And one of the reasons for that was work by Dr. Randy. And this was the work on agouti mice. Agouti mice is the mice having agouti genes. And when a mice has this gene, the offspring will be obese, yellowish fur, not brown. Their lifespan is very short compared to a normal mice. So a very clear difference, as you can see in the image. And what Dr. Randy did was no chemical, nothing, just fed the mother mice kale. And kale is nothing but just green veggie stuff, right? The purpose of feeding kale was because kale is a good source of methyl, is part of the chemical. So, that was fed so that this can go and does the trick. And just by eating kale in the particular time of the pregnancy, it triggered the genes, again, on and off behavior. And then they found that the offspring was a regular mice, not agouti mice. So this was the first shocker in the scientific world, that how come if it is genetics, that means it should go from parents to the offspring, but didn't happen this time. That means something turned the gene on and off. And that was, in this case, kale. Just from the spiritual side, that, okay, what you eat, your thoughts, your lifestyle makes big difference in your genes. So your lifestyle, your thoughts, and your diet is making bigger impact. So one has to be aware of it. And these are the factors. So genetics is there. It's in your genes, going from parents to offspring, that's normal. But what is triggering the turning on and off? There are factors. It could be a factor related to some environmental factor, chemical, depending on some drugs, sometimes you take certain medicines or shots, and you may develop certain things. Age is a factor, diet is a factor. During early childhood developmental time, there could be factors. So these are the things that does impact. And then with meditation, there was some experiments done. So 32 people were selected, and different genes or proteins, they were tested. So they tested before the experiment and then after. So about 7,500 different genes expressions, they were observed. And the testing was that, okay, all they had to do was that bring the elevated emotion, do your meditation, and then they wanted to see whether you can signal the genes ahead of the environment or not. And within 4 days of meditation with elevated emotion, they said many genes were activated. Genes related to anti-aging, genes related to your, healing or autoimmune diseases. So you can fix those things. Your repair or regular, what we say, your stem cells, metabolism related thing, suppression of tumor, and all kinds of things were observed. And this is just 4 days elevated emotion. So then there was another study for 60 days. And here they saw the impact on elongation of telomeres. Telomeres are the end of chromosome, which is critical for our life. Every time a cell divides, telomere reduces in length. So there is a number of time a cell can divide, because then telomere will be so small that it ends the human life, and the cell and the human life. So by elongating telomeres means you are extending your life. Your lifespan is longer. And 20 out of 27% means 74% people could do this. In 2 years, they fix their genetic disorder. Of course, different things may take different time. Different people may take different time, depending on how good you are in your meditation, how serious you are, how disciplined you are, many factors. In 2 years, you could fix genetic disorder without any medication and all. It's a great achievement. Now, University of Toronto, they had the research and they studied that how come people say because of work environment and all those things, some people get cancer or some people get some other critical illnesses. So they studied that how come in that workplace when there are hundreds of people working, why only some get impacted, not others? And they could see the relationship that it is not just one factor, but combination of factors. People say, oh, is the mutation which is causing this impact. But it is not just one mutation, it is in combination of what else is there. And this is the reason why certain people in the same toxic environment may not have any impact while others may have. So in short, genes don't create diseases. It's the environment that is signaling the genes to turn on and off. And our meditation, after thoughts, after diet, our lifestyle can be a big factor in changing the signal. That means you can improve, or if you don't care, it can deteriorate. 2,200 out of 23,000 means roughly 10% or so, 8 to 10%. You can see it's already been proven that so many genes you can influence by meditation. That doesn't mean others are not. Only 2,200 can be done. It's just that these are proven. Over the time, you will see number growing up. So this is enough information that how meditation helps us in becoming, whether you call superhuman, Superman, anything you may call it, because you are creating your future. And this is part of what we say, Aham Brahmasmi. If you have the power of universe, then you need to be able to feel it. You may be able to use it for your benefit, for society's benefit. And this is how they are linked, epigenetics and becoming superhuman. So let's continue further. So far we were recapping. So cell is the smallest unit. Each cell is so intelligent, they can survive on their own. They're so intelligent, they can learn through these environmental experiences. They create cellular memories. And not only they create, they're able to pass on to the offspring. So suppose, when we are having some kind of viral bacterial infection, something the body creates some kind of mechanism against it, whether it's antibodies and all other things. This information is understood by smallest level, which is a cell. And not only understood, creates memory that next time if this happens, this is what I have to do. Because you have to create what is antibodies? Part of, creating a special type of protein. The cell knows that I have to trigger this gene on if I see this, and then I will produce this protein, which is we call antibodies, and this will take care of my whatever the attack is. And not only they do, they can pass on when the cell divides, because cell life is limited. This information is passed on to the new cell. So even if something happens after 1 year or more, that information is still there. Even if the cell is dividing every week, every other day, depending on where the cell is. And that's the beauty of cell, tissues, the body. And cells are not only sharing or learning from within the body, within one organism, they're also learning between different species, which makes it more interesting. Whatever you eat can impact your gut biome. You have tons of, bacteria, virus, fungus, the good ones, which is digesting your food, which is actually more in number than our own cell. But when we start eating genetically modified food, now these artificially created genes, they enter in our system and they start impacting us. They start impacting the biome. And because they're impacting those bacteria and all those things, now it is impacting our life. We have no idea what's happening. We think great food, but it impacts. So genetically engineered, all kind of agricultural crop, you see that what do? They give rise to highly resistant species, what we call super weeds. So we created this GMO food so that the crop will not be damaged by usual stuff. There will not be weed, there will not be insects or this thing harming the crop because it is resistant. But because of this resistance, which is artificial, environmental, this learning, as we said, between different species, it does take place. And now we are creating not just normal weed, but super weeds to overcome this extra layer of protection, which we have introduced from GMO. So now you see the game goes on and on. Now we are creating problem for ourselves, because in this planet, there was a balance. Now we are creating a problem, because now we are creating new life, new kind of issues at genetics level. So we are impacting the diversity of our biome. Because of that, we are having all kind of health issues. We are creating environmental issues, different allergies, different issues we have. It's so common. Before it used to be rare. Now pretty every other person is having something or the other. So what is this? This is an external sign of the internal changes that is happening in us. And some of it we don't know fully, we don't recognize, we don't understand, in spite of all the scientific advancement. So when we provide a healthy environment for any cell, they will thrive. Now, when it is less than optimum, now the cells will be impacted. They will be affected. They cannot thrive. So you can adjust the environment. And by adjusting the environment, the sick cells can also revitalize. And again, this is what epigenetics means. It's the environment impacting and not the genes alone. Because when you're convinced, which is pure genetics, that your genes controls your life, then you say, okay, I'm done. I have nothing. You got an excuse. Then what can I do? Now you are in the victim mode. And when you are in victim mode, you gave up already. Kind of, that's what you see. And if you are in that scenario, then obviously no hope. Whereas you will see there are, say, about 1 to 2% of the diseases which are truly because of genetics. Otherwise, it is always a combination. Never specifically just because of one gene is on or off, you are having problem. They're so common that people have diabetes, they have heart disease and all, but it's not because of single gene. It's a very complex interaction between multiple genes, environmental factors. And this is a good news that we understand that genes or genetics in general is not your destiny. Don't worry about it. It's the environment that we have to understand and take care of. So why this confusion, say epigenetics or in general? One of the reason is, technical papers and all. Yeah, many people will read, understand, but most of the people get information through media. And they distort two words, correlation and causation. So in scientific term, you are trying to see, is there a correlation or is there a causation? So one thing is that something is linked to a disease, but it's totally the other thing if something is causing a disease. Because then there is a controlling action if something is causing a disease. So genes, they don't just go on and off on their own. Something triggers them. Some external factor has to trigger, change the condition, off to on or on to off, either way. Now, just to understand this correlation, causation thing, keys, example of a car, say you are driving from your home to your work. You have a car, you have the keys, turn it on, and you drive. So if you look at the keys, you can say, yes, there is a correlation with the control of the car. But does it mean if I just leave the keys inside the car can drive itself from your driveway to your work? No. So keys alone, not enough. They are not driving. It is you who's driving the car. You have the control. You are the cause, not the keys. Yes, without keys you cannot, so there is a correlation. But keys alone cannot. So this is where a lot of confusion comes, and everything we try to link with the genes turning on and off, we think it is the factor, or this is what is happening, this is what is causing it. And generally it causes fear. So this notion that genes control the biology, this has been repeated, media or otherwise, so many times that people forgot that actually this was a hypothesis for the scientists. It's not true. They have been using this as a hypothesis that genes controlling biology, because in any experiment you have to have a hypothesis, and then you prove right or wrong, whether the hypothesis is correct or wrong. So when you do this again and again, when people hear something again and again, they start believing in it. You may have heard that, if somebody tells a lie 1,000 times, after a while, people take it as truth, that you're speaking the truth, and this is what the fact is. It's just a supposition. It's never been proved that genes control the destiny of biology. In fact, the other way is more accurate. It's been proven not to be rather than proven to be. But because it is reported over and over and over in the media, and then obviously the pharma industry and all kind of research, academic as well is involved, that now everybody thinks this is what it is. So in our body, there are about more than 100,000 different types of proteins. And then there is another set of 20,000. So roughly say 120,000. So old assumption was that, okay, you have DNA, every cell has chromosome, every chromosome has your, helix structure, the DNA. DNA has RNA, which makes protein. So the whole DNA, RNA thing, just long story short, if you want to understand very simply it's like, you have a book of recipe book, and it may have recipe of 500 different items that you can prepare. So, and if you want to prepare a meal or some dish, you can go to that page number, open the book, and start making it. So what RNA does is kind of a photocopies that particular sector. So suppose it's just one page, you say, okay, I don't want to spoil the whole book. I'll take a photocopy of one page, and then you take that page and start making your whatever the recipe is. So that's what RNA kind of role is. So DNA is the full helix, everything. RNA is that small portion, that information, and that produces protein. So you can imagine there are different recipes because there are 120 different type of proteins needed in the body, different cell, different need. The cell for eye, for hair, for skin, for heart, lung, different cells, different activities going on in the bone, and they need different type of proteins. So your physical body and your life experience, they cannot send the information back and alter the DNA. You cannot do this in the physical realm, but you can do it through meditation. You can turn the genes on and off through meditation in subconscious state. So there was a big experiment done, very commonly known as the Human Genome Project. It was in 1980s, and they wanted to create a catalog of the genes present in humans the world over. It was not just regional, but all over. And they were expecting there will be 120,000 genes because there were 120,000 proteins. So one gene for one protein. So they estimated there will be 120,000 genes. And they will be there within this 3 pair of human chromosome, 23 pairs, sorry, because in a cell there's 23 pairs. So they thought, okay, there will be 120,000 genes. And the pharma industry, they were expecting that there will be so many, and if they can patent each one of them as they discover, as they find. So if you need that protein, that supplement, you have to take my, particular patented thing. And they will have lots of money. But they were surprised, they were shocked when they studied, found that there is only about 25,000 genes. And they said, how come you need 120,000 proteins? So how come you figured out only 25,000 genes or less? Because it is not one-to-one. One gene makes more than one protein. So you see the complexity or the beauty of our body. So people think that humans are on the top of the food chain. That means we have the most complex body. Unfortunately, if you compare yourself with a worm, just a small worm, crawling, and plants, because we are on the top of the food chain, plant kingdom, animal kingdom, and whether it's a housefly or anything, you think we are so big, we are different, we are more complex, we'll have more genes. But the experiment found something else. So they said, okay, let's look at very primitive organisms, like not a single cell structure, but multiple, but still very small. They took fruit fly and they took mice. So the primitive organism where they thought, is such a small, tiny creature, it will have hardly any genes, compared to us. But they found that it has 24,000 genes and we have 25, pretty much same. Fruit fly, 15,000 genes, bigger, but much smaller than us. But okay, 15,000, it's not like just fruit fly is so small and it will have just some couple of hundred genes. No. And mice, roughly same number as us. Mice is so small, we are so big. So then scientists again got confused that, okay, so it doesn't matter then how complex we are, how advanced we are, whichever way you look at it. But that doesn't mean that a fruit fly will have, say, 15,000 genes, and we, because so big, so complex, we will have 50,000 or 100,000. No. So that means that relationship, it doesn't go by size. So question comes, what gives us the complexity? You know, when we say meditation, we say consciousness and all those things. This, the brain part, where the behavioral thing, consciousness, all those coordination, whether physical, mental, emotional, and all those things, this is all part of our advancement. Depending on the environmental changes, we can react, we can alter our response. This is part of the learning memory. This is the part of our advancement. So we are not complex because we have more genes. We are complex or advanced because we have those capabilities that we can change according to our environment. Our response will be totally different. We have that capability. And that makes us unique. That makes us different. So this is something which is so important. That in order to understand the cell biology, cell functioning, which will eventually make you understand that why epigenetics is so important and how it can help us in getting to Brahmasmi topic that we were talking about, that yes, we have the superpower and we can all tap it. Think about it. Every cell, which is the smallest unit, has a very small nucleus, which has the chromosome 23, and every chromosome has the DNA and all the genes, thousands of genes, everything in very one small cell. So it was understood that, okay, nucleus is the brain of the cell because it has genes, it has everything in it. So what they did, there is a way you can remove the nucleus from the cell, and they did. And they thought the moment you take the brain out, the cell will die. Nothing like this happened. It survived. It can survive 2 or more months without genes. Yes. Cell activity. A lot of things were able to manage, but when it comes to the growth, when it comes to protection from environmental stimuli and all those things, of course, now you cannot, because you cannot produce protein without the genes. But other operational things were still continuing. So this was interesting. You take the brain out, still functioning. And why it is important, masters? Not specific to epigenetics, but scientists are still, they're working, they haven't proven it yet, but they say it is not they think neurons in your brain is storing all the memory. But now more and more experiments and more research is leading in a way that information is not stored in our neurons. Neurons acts like an antenna. The information is up there, like we say in a cloud. Neurons is just like an antenna you're receiving and transmitting. So here in the cell, they took the nucleus out, the brain out, still cell survived. Yeah, it could not grow because obviously you need genes to tell which protein to produce. But it's not that it cannot function. It lost all its communication or it lost all its wisdom. No. So you see, we still don't know, and you don't know what you don't know, and still, things are discovered scientifically. But when we go through our Vedas, our different literature that we have thousands of years ago, which our saints have written, they understood it thousands of years ago. They may not call it with the same terminology or whatever, but they had the understanding. And coming back to epigenetic versus Brahmasmi thing, is this tells us, if we understand how environment is what is causing major functioning changes in our body, then we can manage the environment. You can manage your diet, you can manage your thoughts, you can manage your lifestyle. And these are the three key factors which is signaling your genes to turn on and off. That means it is in your hand that you can stay healthy, stay happy, avoid a lot of things, and at least come out of that genetic fear that, oh, it's in my family, this disease, heart, diabetic, this, that, and people think. So masters, we will continue next week this topic of epigenetics. For today's session, if you have anything, any question, please feel free to ask, unmute yourself, or if you want to share your experience, something related to it, please feel free to do so. It will certainly help others. Okay, thank you. So before we go for meditation, please feel free to Yes, Sriniji. Please unmute.
Good evening, sir. Thank you for letting us know all these concepts on epigenetics. In your last slide, you said nucleus has been removed from the cell and cell keep communicating and it retains in memory for 2-3 months. What is the conclusion we can draw out of that experiment?
Sriniji, because this is very common that we think everything is in our brain and that's it. And we think brain means our head part. And that's where the whole communication and understanding and the wisdom and everything is. What this experiment is telling us, it is at a cellular level. So first of all, when we say brain, it is not just our head part. And that's what research is telling us. It's more of an antenna. The physical memory is not there. It's not like if somebody takes, because there was one of the experiment done with the person who otherwise, because of some accident, lost one part of the brain. But that he did not lose that. People think, oh, memory loss because some damage taken place to the brain. But the issue is not physical damage to the brain. The issue was loss of that ability to communicate, like antenna. If your antenna is damaged, you cannot receive or transmit. That's what happens. That means the information is up in the, you can say, environment, atmosphere, whatever way we call it. So
that the cell takes its memory or something from the environment.
Yes, and also it is not just our brain and the head part. We have the gut, we have the heart. It's a divided function, and it's not simple as okay, everything is here and wire. Every cell has certain communicative part, certain, you can say, administrative kind of decision, and environment is signaling at all levels what to do, when to do, because cell has to divide. Someone has to tell the cell, okay, now it's time to divide, or now this, now that. That information, the way it is happening, is more on the energetic level. It's not a physical nerve going to each cell. Each cell does not get a nerve ending to tell what to do, but each cell gets the communication what to do. So this is because when we say anything like meditation helps, and people wonder that, okay, how come I'm doing meditation and I can fix whatever it is, that particular organ, particular just a part of the muscle, or so it doesn't matter where. But this is the background, that the way the communication, the true communication, is taking place within the body or body and the environment, we are still discovering. Still, we don't know 100%. But what we know is it is not as simple as the hardwire thing that, there is a light lamp, connect to the outlet, it works, you unplug it and it turns off. And now we say we have Wi-Fi. Our body is a big Wi-Fi, best Wi-Fi equipment, if you call it that way. Everything is happening on a Wi-Fi level. That's what it indicates, this experiment, that's how we get that superpower when we say Aham Brahmasmi, or if we understand epigenetics, how we can become anyone or do anything. It's unbelievable power we have, is we just don't know.
Okay, sir. Another thing I want to very simple hierarchical drawing, human microbiome, gene, cell gene, and DNA, RNA, and functions of those things will help for the uneducated people in cell biology.
Sorry, Sriniji, your voice was cutting a little bit. I understood the DNA, RNA, and that functioning, and what was the last part?
What I asked is a simple hierarchical drawing and its functions of the cell biology would help the uninitiated people in cell biology.
The cell biology, like I correct me if I'm wrong, is the question about how, if we understand, can benefit, like the understanding can benefit us, or?
Yeah, what I'm saying is a simple definition of human microbiome, DNA, RNA, what it does, and because there are so many complex terms and it's very difficult to follow.
Right. Okay, no, that's a good point, Sriniji, because I agree. As I was saying in the beginning, we'll try to keep it simple, but in order to not tell someone that just accept as a concept, that's why it's important to go in detail. How this information will help, even if you don't worry about the terminology, whether it is nucleus, whether it is chromosome, doesn't matter whether we have understanding or not. What is important in this is our body is a marvel, is a beautiful piece of technology, beautiful piece of functioning wise, we can say, that we are still trying to really understand, that not just at the highest organ or function level, even to the cellular level. If we understand this is how it functions, and especially whether we call Wi-Fi or whether we call it the information exchange. So when we do meditation, we are linking that energy. We are connecting our energy, means this whole process which is taking place in our body, which is controlling all the functioning. Because any disease means something went wrong somewhere. something is not optimum, something got disturbed, and that it creating some disease or discomfort or some issue in your body. By doing, when we say meditation or pranayama or yoga, what we are doing is balancing the energy in our body. Without understanding any technicality, if you do that, then at least you know where this energy will be helping you up to the cellular level. So this is the impact of, you can say, the meditation, pranayama, or all this thing. And this is how, it's not a magic that you come out of some disease, you come out of some mental, emotional issues. No, it is working at that energy level, and this energy level has capability of going to cellular level, impacting even inside the cellular level to that detail. If we can understand this, this is enough for anyone without getting into any technicality, names, terminology, or anything.
Okay, so in a nutshell, the DNA won't change, but we can, with the things like meditation, we can change the gene expression, how the way it expresses the proteins.
Precisely, absolutely right. And again, DNA itself is a whole library, but genes is what creates the protein. And if protein is not proper or not like turn on and off, you can make the wrong protein or not make the right one. All those situations which eventually ends up in some kind of illness, disease, or issue in the body, you can fix by environmental factor, giving the proper signal to the gene and reversing it. So even if it is on today, you have a medical condition, you can reverse that. That means you can turn the on switch off. Or if it is not on, it should be on, you can turn the off switch on. So you are absolutely right.
And another thing I want to summarize is, out of the 23,000 genes, with the help of meditation, we can alter 2,000 genes.
2000 plus have been proven.
Proven.
That is already proven, and work is still going on. So like in the future, you may hear this 22 may become 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, but 22 as of date are already proven.
Okay, sir. Thank you. I just want to summarize those things.
No, Sriniji, I know, and that's really very good that you did. I'm sure it may help others because, yes, some may feel it is very going too technical, but the idea was not too technical, but at least why should you believe in this?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sriniji. Yes, Dinesh, you may unmute yourself, please.
Thank you, Gaurav sir. It is very interesting cellular biology. I like to have this today's recording. If you can share, I want to go again and listen very carefully.
Sure, Dineshji, Shomchi will be
I'll
putting it on YouTube.
Gaurav, I will post it by tomorrow.
Oh, I'm really appreciating.
Yeah, the first session is already been in the YouTube, so I posted. So I'll post this one as your request by tomorrow, sir. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Yeah, my email address also I gave in the chat box. So, yeah. Thank you, sir.
Welcome, Dineshji. And by tomorrow, if you check your, in the YouTube, you will have it. So you don't have to worry about email. If you have not subscribed, then I would say if you can subscribe that, PMC, this USA Spiritual Tablet USA channel, then you will get the updates automatically.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Really.
Welcome, Dineshji.
Yeah.
Okay, Ramakrishna ji, please, you may unmute. Yeah, Ramakrishna ji, you have your hand raised. You may unmute.
Yeah, Ramakrishna sir, you can unmute yourself, and I'm not sure. Okay. Upendra sir, you are unmuted. Can you unmute yourself, sir?
Yes. Oh, thank you very much. It's a wonderful presentation, rather technical, but the very nice summary. My, when you look at all this COVID-19, they were developing all these vaccines for Moderna, Pfizer. They were using what is called RNA. I think that's what you're referring to here. Is that correct?
This one, what we have is the DNA and then the half part of his RNA, which is kind of, it works as a photocopier, and then it just photocopies that part of the gene, and then it is the biological process that how protein is produced. So yes, that is the technology. When we talk of COVID thing, there are two ways. One is using the dead virus and one is using the RNA technology. That means it's not using a dead virus, and it is just copying and attaching it to it. So the newer one, which are RNA based, are more effective because of that.
Now, another question, if I may, these 2,200 genes, I'm sorry.
Yes.
2,200, yeah, they were, you can, with meditation, you can, I guess, modify them or improve them. That's what you said. And are they, I mean, are there any specifics on that? Not the entire 2,200. Are they specific to any particular type of diseases, or how does that work? Is that too detailed?
So some of them are related to anti-aging. Some of them are related to like different, you can say, where they impact. Now, which particular gene or which particular, that will be certainly kind of different like detail. But when we look at the anti-aging, look at the fixing the autoimmune diseases, the cell repair mechanism, metabolism related thing, those were the genes, including some genetic disorder that people could fix. Of course, it took more time. So these are some of the things that people have seen, that experiment have shown that how they were able to reverse.
I see. Yeah, one of the things I heard, tinnitus, which is the ringing in the ears, and I don't know. Some people claim that they can cure with a remote meditation. I don't know, is that true, or I don't know. So, tinnitus is the ringing in the ear. That is a noise that's coming from the brain. It's not nobody outsiders cannot hear it, but you hear it.
True. That ringing thing, yes. But I don't know about this remote meditation. If someone can do this, then I'll be certainly interested in knowing the source. But I haven't come across in my research that thing, but it would be something interesting to know more about for me as well. But unfortunately, so far, I have not heard about it.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah.
Welcome, Penji. But if you have any such information you can post or share, that would be nice on this ringing one. Then I'll certainly be looking into this.
Okay, great.
Thank you. So I think we can go for meditation, Ashokji, because I don't think anyone else has.
Yeah, sure, Gaurav sir.
Okay. Okay, masters. So let's get ready. We'll close our eyes. Relax the body. And first we'll try to slow down our brain waves. For that, Let's do 7 cycles of deep breathing. Or if you know Anulom Vilom, you can do that. So slow exhale and slow inhale, whatever is comfortable to you at your own pace. Or if you're doing Anulom Vilom without a pause, that means exhale, inhale, switch to the right side, and then keep switching between left and right nostrils, 7 cycles. Masters, now breathe normally. And now we'll relax our body. So relax your face, your neck, your shoulders. Keep your spine straight, however, fully relaxed. Relax your hands, your legs, and keep them in cross posture so that it makes a beautiful electrical loop. Masters, now your mind is relaxed, your body is relaxed. Before we get into deep meditation, let's bring our affirmation in our subconscious mind. So only for 1 minute. Imagine as if your affirmation has come true. And feel the emotion, how you would feel when your affirmation has come true. Feel the joy, the happiness, gratitude, pleasure, whatever is associated with your affirmation. For next 1 minute, feel it. Now, we'll start observing our breath. So masters, now on, no more thoughts, no feelings, no emotions. Just observe your breath as you inhale, as you exhale. Maintain your normal, natural, soft breath. No exertion, no extra effort. Just natural, beautiful, normal breath. As you inhale, you intake lots of cosmic energy inside your body. And as you exhale, you discharge a lot of toxins from your body. Keep observing. And masters, it is normal to get stuck with a thought during meditation. Don't fight with your thoughts. Don't feel bad. Just come out of it and start observing your breath again. Masters, with your mind and body relaxed, not fighting with your thoughts, gives you best opportunity to slow down your brain waves and get into deeper and deeper to meditation. Observing your breath brings a lot of cosmic energy which heals you. The intelligence of cosmic energy helps you in fixing the problem wherever it finds a blockage. The energy flows through our nadis, Ida and Pingala, and wherever it finds a blockage, it starts working and fixing it. We don't need to know where the blockage is or where it should work. It will find itself. So for next little while, continue observing your breath. With body relaxed, eyes closed. Dear Masters, let's rub our palms together. Place the fingers on your eyes for 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Slowly, very slowly open your eyes. Come to your normal self. Come to your normal environment. Thanks for joining Masters, making it a group session.
Thank you, Gauravji. Thank you very much for your beautiful session.